I was making $30,000 a month, but I still felt broke. Here's brutal truths that I want to share with you to stop you from making the same mistakes that I did. Hi, my name's Neil Young. I'm a business coach and personal growth mentor. I want to share with you my story to how it is I got to where I am now, building a multi-seven-figure business and help my clients achieve the same results in their life and their business. Let me share what was the breaking point for me. When I was 25 years old, I had a panic attack. I was jumping from job to job, felt really disconnected with my purpose, trying to figure out what is it that I want to do with my life, and really just felt like a bit of a loser. Everyone else seemed like they knew what they were doing, and I just felt lost and just jumping from one thing to another. So I remember I was working as a quantity surveyor at this construction company out here in Dubai, and I had a panic attack because guess what? I'm not a quantity surveyor. I'm a people person. I love working with people and then helping them figure out their problems. I'm an excellent problem solver. That's why my clients come to me. And so I was measuring quantities onto a spreadsheet as a quantity surveyor, and I had a panic attack. I just couldn't figure out what was happening. I remember it so vividly. I just got really short of breath, really paranoid. I remember sneaking out of the office, got my car, drove down to the beach, head in my hands thinking, what is going on? Why do I feel like this? And guess what? That set me off on the personal development journey to where it is how I got to where I am now. So this was the turning point. I discovered personal development. I wanted to figure out why this is happening and stop it from ever happening again. I became obsessed with personal development, especially core values. I started reading Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and I really got into podcasts around this time. So I remember the first podcast I started listening to was Entrepreneur on Fire by John Lee Dumas. I actually managed to speak with him a few times. He's a lovely guy. And he was one of the first role models that I had in my life. And through this podcast that I was listening to, I found a mastermind group. I know mastermind groups are pretty popular now, and I run a few mastermind groups myself, but back then it wasn't really happening. And I found this mastermind group through this podcast called Iron Sharpens Iron by another mentor of mine called Aaron Walker. It was a very Christian-based mastermind based in Nashville, Tennessee. I was in that for 2 years, and it really raised my game. I was hanging out with 100 other entrepreneurs. I had 10 entrepreneurs in my mastermind group. We met every week on Zoom. We had an annual meetup in Nashville, Tennessee. I did that for 2 years, and it really raised my game. It really took me to the next level. And I really found out that who you hang around is who you become. And so this was really the start of my training. I started listening to the podcast. I got into the mastermind group. I had some really good role models and mentors around me. Then after 2 years in the mastermind group, I was like, right, it's time for something else. So I remember my wife, Saki, saying to me, Neil, I'm reading this Tony Robbins book, Awaken the Giant Within. Why don't you go to a Tony Robbins event? I thought, great idea. Let's go check it out. And she probably regrets telling me to go to a Tony Robbins event because I ended up doing 40 events. I did 22 events in a row. So I'm based in Dubai. So I remember I bought $10,000 worth of miles. So I bought 1 million miles back then. 22 economy class return tickets, and I managed to upgrade to business every time, flying these 16-hour flights to the US, Australia, wherever Tony Robbins was. So I joined his 85K Platinum Partnership Program, really invested a lot of my money into it. And a lot of people might say, why did you do that? You can get all that information online. It's really not about that. Of course, you get all the strategies through Google, ChatGPT now. It's about proximity. You know, these people that are successful, they absorb the energy and emotions, these identities of successful people. If it were all about strategies, then everyone would be rich because you just Google it, get the strategy, but guess what? You're not executing on it. And why are you not executing on it? Because you don't feel like that kind of person. And why don't you feel like that kind of person? Because you don't have the faith or energy to follow through. So I can get into this a lot more. I don't really want to talk about frameworks now. I want to talk to you more about my story. I did the podcast, the mastermind, I did the 40 plus Tony Robbins events, 22 in a row, ended up doing 40 over about a 3-4 year period. And then also around the same time, we had a structural engineering consultancy, which we still have now, which I'm an owner in. We grew that from about $200,000, $300,000 a year to now doing over $5 million a year. We have 30 plus employees, and we have a management team that runs the business. We did E-Myth business coaching to grow that business. So check out the book E-Myth Perspective by Michael Gerber. That's another really influential book that really helped me on my journey. This is how I really started to build proof about who it is that I was, not just to the world, but to myself. When you really start to feel confident about yourself, you can turn up and other people will be influenced by your confidence because you are not bullshitting. You're speaking from the heart and you're speaking the truth. We grew our structural engineering consultancy to $5 million. Then I thought, hey, I'm in this network with all these other Tony Robbins people. Why don't I try coaching? I think everyone who signs up with Tony Robbins, they want to become a coach like him. So I started doing that too. And I started running some mini mastermind groups because I knew how to run mastermind groups. And through those mastermind groups, I started getting one-on-one clients who wanted to work with me further. So I had 3 clients that really helped succeed. One, his name was Rasmus. There's another guy, Derek, another guy, Brendan. 3 very different businesses. Rasmus had an online gambling business. Derek had a chain of gas stations. And Brendan was an online mental toughness coach. I helped all of these guys grow their business. Rasmus to a multi-7-figure business. Derek, multi-7-figure business, a bit smaller than Rasmus. And Brendan doing multiple 6 figures a year. So those were probably my 3 most successful clients at the time. I was helping my clients get the results that they want. And then I realized it's all about community. It's all about peer group, who you spend your time with. I started having role models online through the podcast that I didn't have proximity to. Then I got in a mastermind, I got around them. Then I went to Tony Robbins and I got access to billionaires, real estate tycoons. I even met the porn queen of Iceland, all these random people from really successful industries. You're thinking, wow, that's a business? Wow, that's a business. People with amazing stories, amazing energy, and amazing identities and emotions. And when you hang around that, you start to become like these people. So I tell people, even if I hadn't learned any of Tony Robbins' content, paying my $85K a year to hang around these amazing people changed my life. It really grew my network and really changed and helped me accelerate to the person I am now. So number one thing I say to people, and it's a massive cliche, who you hang around is who you become. So find people to role model and spend time around them either virtually or in person. I realized that community was the thing that I wanted to build because proximity is power. I thought, let me try running some free mastermind groups for the Tony Robbins Platinum Partner community. I started running 8 mastermind groups a week, 10 people per group, and I did that for 6 months, but it really burned me out. I had 80 people, 8 groups, 10 people per group. Everyone loved it, but I was getting a bit resentful inside, thinking I'm doing this for free, I should get compensated for it. So after about 6 months of doing it, everything's going well, but I was burnt out. I said to everyone, hey, do you fancy paying $400 a month? And we'll continue what it is. Whew. Everyone disappeared. And I'm thinking, shit, everyone's gone. Built something beautiful and I've just destroyed it by asking for money. So I had my tail between my legs and I was wondering, what should I do? Really thinking, have I messed this up? But I decided to go back to everyone and say, hey guys, listen, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have charged for it. I promised you it was a free offering at the beginning. So we're going to keep it as a free offering, but I'm not going to run 8 groups every week. I'm going to do 1 group a week. That's something I can manage for the rest of my life, and we'll continue to make it free. So slowly everybody started to come back because I was giving instead of wanting to take. And fast forward 7 years and it's still going. And we get like 20 to 60 people. These are all platinum partners, high-level entrepreneurs turning up every week. And I get a lot of one-on-one clients from that. And it's really turned into a beautiful community. All because I gave first, doing a free thing, adding tons of value for 7 years. And then naturally people get curious, like, hey, what do you do? Great networking platform. And you just meet people, find out their problems. If it's suitable for me to help them, then I go for it. So building community is a massive thing for me. Also, I started to go on my spiritual journey because I was building businesses and doing all this Tony Robbins work, but the deeper down the rabbit hole that I went, I realized it's not just strategies, it's all about people, hanging around the right people, absorbing that energy and those emotions. But where does that come from? What are people like on the inside? And I really found out that your external environment, you can't blame anything in your external environment. It's all a reflection of what's happening in front of you. And you might be thinking, hey, wait, you don't know the people I hang around. You don't know the financial situation I'm in. You don't know my health problems. I'm not saying that you are the cause of that, but anything that triggers you in your external environment, you've got to look at yourself and think, what emotion is this situation bringing up in me? What thought is it bringing up? What is it doing to my body? Okay, so I really started to get down this rabbit hole, and I have a beautiful system to really help clarify your emotions, your thoughts, and your body. And that helps you be super consistent all the time. I really went down that rabbit hole of internal mastery that reflects onto your external environment. And I did a lot of past regression work on this, where I went back in my past, to my childhood, and looked at certain traumatic events. And one recurring image I had, this might be from a past life, maybe as a kid, but I felt very weak. I had this illness when I was 4 years old, and I lost tons of weight. I was just bedridden for 3 months. I had these tiny little wooden crutches, like tiny tin crutches, and I kept on falling over. I remember my parents looking at me, thinking, oh, poor Neil, he's so weak, he's so tiny, he can't look after himself. We have to help him. Just with my parents, my friends, I felt everyone was looking after me all the time. I couldn't do things by myself. But now I've done Ironman events, I've built multi-seven-figure businesses, I've helped other people do it, I've got a family, 2 kids. I'm constantly growing all the time. I've stopped drinking for 10 years, smoking and drugs for 17 years, coffee for 5 years. I've really taken every area of my life and taken it to the next level. But yeah, this childhood memory of being too small and not being able to do things myself, it really held me back until I confronted it, and then I rewrote how I felt on the inside, how I wanted to feel, how I wanted to think, and what I wanted to do with my life. So that brings me to now, present moment. I do Ironman triathlons. I'm training for my second Ironman. That's in Austria in a few months' time. So really upping my game there. I'm still a Tony Robbins Platinum partner. So I have the huge network there, running the Mastermind group for them. I've got the structural engineering consultancy, and then I have my business coaching business where I show people how we built that consultancy. And then I'm also organizing events for people. So I do mastermind groups, I do one-on-one coaching. We just did an event for the Platinum Partners here in Dubai last year. I had 200 people turn up for that, had a 500-foot yacht. Then we went skiing in more of the Emirates. Then went like dune bashing in the desert, followed by a luxury dinner and play in the desert. So just a super luxury, amazing event with tons of people, great energy. So that's really what I'm about now. Making communities, bringing people together and helping them change their personal and business lives. I'm really all about helping conscious entrepreneurs stop being the bottleneck in their own business. I say this with everyone, the leader is always the chokehold in any business. So you really need to look at yourself and figure out what emotions and identities, what thoughts, what feelings of lack, like what do I have in my body that is stopping me from moving forwards? Maybe you don't feel like doing something. Maybe you think you can't do it. Maybe you're just feeling lazy and apathetic. Trust me, this is not you. People get confused, they get so attached, like this is me, I'm gonna sit on my phone scrolling, watching TV. It's not you. You think it's you, but when you realize it's not you, and you can actually change that, boom, your life starts to accelerate. So I really help conscious entrepreneurs stop being the bottleneck in their business, and I'm 10 years ahead of most of my ideal clients. So if you want to shortcut that gap, drop me a DM, please comment on this video. What are your thoughts about this video? Where are you in your journey? And I'd love to have a conversation with you further.